Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the
Hi.
Conspiracy Crunch. We're back once again. This is actually our last one before Christmas, so I hope you enjoy the show today because I don't know the date off the top of my head for when the next one's going to be, but
I don't either.
no, it will be yeah, it will be like the second or third week of January, I think, for the first one.
Yeah.
So this is the last one for a while, and because of that, we thought today we would have a special show. We're going to do a full 1 hour feature on just one conspiracy.
And it's such a good one we've picked for you this time.
Yeah, it is a great one. I really, really like this one. It is, out of all the conspiracies we've covered on the show so far, this is one of the ones that fascinates me more
Yeah.
than any other.
Definitely.
We are looking at the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
Before we get into that, we should probably introduce ourselves though.
Yeah, I forget this every week.
You do.
My name is Aaron Chandler,
And I'm Abigail Murphy.
and this is the Conspiracy Crunch, live on Radio Hud or on demand on YouTube.
Because we do YouTube, guys.
Yeah, we do YouTube, which is great. We've got like 8 subscribers. We're absolutely
Hey.
rolling in it. Yeah, how does YouTube Rewind not include the Conspiracy
I
Crunch?
know. Shocking, right?
That's why it's got so many dislikes, because we're not in it.
I know.
If we were in YouTube Rewind, we
So
would
many
make
people
it,
would, it'd be
exactly.
the best one yet, definitely.
Yeah, it's a video without a heart without us, isn't it?
It is indeed.
But yeah,
For we are that loved with our 8 followers.
yeah, 8 followers, and you've got our most
Whoop.
viewed video has like 20 views as well.
Oh my gosh.
I know,
So
nearly
many
3
views.
times the amount of our subscribers. Staggering.
Nice.
Yeah,
But yes, we shall actually get into it now.
yeah,
Do you
So-
want to start?
yeah. I'll kick it off. Yeah, so this is the assassination of JFK for episode 5 of the Conspiracy Crunch. On the 22nd of November 1963, President John F. Kennedy was in Dallas, Texas, taking part in an open-top car parade through the city streets. At around 2 p.m., JFK's Ford Lincoln turned past a Dallas book depository and came under fire, resulting in the president being fatally shot in the head. A communist sympathizer named Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested almost immediately by local authorities when he was discovered hiding in a nearby theatre a few blocks away from the assassination point. On 24th of November 1963, so just 2 days after the assassination, Lee Harvey Oswald was brought before press representatives to say a few words to world media, but was shot by nightclub owner Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby had a long history of involvement with organised crime, with his first arrest coming at age of 11, but at the time, his actual motives for killing Lee Harvey Oswald weren't clear. But Jack Ruby grew up in an immigrant suburb with his Polish family near an Italian minority area where riots and gunfights are frequent. This is where his links to organised crime come from. But leading up to Oswald's death, he denied killing the president, but due to dying, he was never able to plead his innocence in court. JFK was succeeded by Lyndon B. Johnson on presidency on the day of his assassination. Jack Ruby was sentenced to death but died of a fluid blockage in his lungs on the 3rd of January 1967.
The birth of the JFK conspiracy came in 1969 when New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison took the case of the assassination to court, suggesting that Lee Harvey Oswald had not worked alone or had in fact not been involved at all.
Yeah, so as always, we've got the big questions for the show. That's sort of like the big background information. That's
Yeah.
like the bread and butter of this case.
We've got 6 this time for you.
Yeah, there's so many questions. Like, when I was doing the research for this show, I was thinking, how on earth am I going to fit all of this into an hour?
Yeah, there's so much.
We've missed loads. There's loads more that I wanted to talk about on this that we haven't had a chance to talk about. Like, I wanted to put Operation Northwoods in here, but I haven't had a chance. Haven't really had a chance to talk about other stuff that implements in this as well.
I
But,
will start the special, the
yeah.
JFK assassination part 2.
Yeah, we might have to actually. Let's think about a part 2 in future. Do all the stuff that we couldn't do this time.
Yeah.
But our big questions are, first of all, why would someone want to assassinate JFK? Like on previous shows, it's not just a core conspiracy show here. We like integrate into other topics as well. Like we've talked about science a little bit. There's been even like we've had like quantum physics come up on the show before as well.
That's
which,
still science.
It is actually, isn't it? Yeah, strange that.
It is.
But yeah,
funnily
we've got
enough.
some history coming up today,
Ooh.
which is going to be quite interesting. I'm looking forward to that. So that's the history on that. We're going to be looking into the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis and other things. surrounding why someone would want to assassinate JFK. And then, why wasn't there more security on the day of the assassination? This has been a very topical question throughout history. Like, why would it have... If there was more security, we would be asking who tried to kill JFK rather than who did kill JFK.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just like... We'll go more onto that in a bit. But, what were Oswald's motives, and did he work alone? It's clear from evidence that Oswald did have some kind of involvement, or whether he was the man who genuinely killed JFK is up for debate.
Yeah.
Also, the fact whether he worked alone has also come under a lot of scrutiny. And why was Lyndon B. Johnson sworn in so quickly? He was sworn in like after the president was killed. That obviously all the other political leaders were taken out of Dallas, including then Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, who was sworn in on the plane before Kennedy had been announced as dead.
Conspiracy within a conspiracy. He was jealous.
Yeah, yeah, but we'll mention Mr. Johnson a bit later on.
We will get back to him.
Yeah. Would it actually be possible for one shooter to pull off the attack? This is going to be the first thing we look at, actually, with the single shooter theory, because there's a lot of holes in the logic on that. And if Oswald didn't kill Kennedy, then who did? This is all very well saying, "Oh, it wasn't him," but you've got to ask. But you've got to say why it wasn't him as well. So
we're going to be moving straight on to the single shooter issues.
Yeah, and a little bit of background information on Lee Harvey Oswald as well.
That is a good thing to do, since he is obviously a very important person in this, it seems. Lee Harvey Oswald was a former US Marine who was released from active duty in 1959 and defected to the Soviet Union. In 1961, Oswald wrote to the American Embassy in Moscow requesting the return of his passport so he could go back to America. In 1962, Oswald returned to America with his wife and infant daughter.
Yeah, so he has links with communism.
Yep.
And Marxism, and he's also got military experience.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So we know he can shoot.
Yeah, but we'll come more onto that in a little bit. But Oswald's alleged motivation to kill JFK came in March of 1963, when he used an alias to buy a second-hand rifle and travelled by bus to assassinate Edwin Walker. Now, Edwin Walker's not really a name that gets mentioned enough in JFK theories, I think. He's one of the cases that's been swept under the rug slightly. But he was a former US Major General in West Germany who had been relieved from duty for giving out right-wing literature to soldiers. So, obviously, Oswald, as a communist, took exception to this.
Yeah.
So Oswald, we'll come more onto that in a bit as well. But Oswald was a communist, like we said. So, and on top of this, the attempted Bay of Pigs invasion by USA against Cuba may have been motivation for him to take action. But Oswald wasn't listed as a suspect in the Edwin Walker case until after he had been arrested for the JFK assassination, which happened 8 months later.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, he also allegedly left a note for his wife in his house saying he was going to kill Walker and detailed what to do if he didn't return. The note was found in his house 10 days after the Kennedy assassination and 8 days after Oswald's own death. This raises questions why Oswald wouldn't have destroyed the note instead of leaving incredibly damaging evidence against him laying around in the house.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, you think, because the assassination attempt against Edwin Walker was unsuccessful, I might mention it. He was not successful in killing Edwin Walker. But
you wouldn't leave something so
surely
damning.
If you've got an attempted murder charge against a former US major in the air against you, you would destroy all evidence linking you to it. And this is a man that is apparently smart enough to orchestrate a lone wolf assassination of the reigning president of America. And he can't burn a note, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting.
So, according to official reports, Oswald acted alone, firing 3 rounds in a 5-second window from roughly 80 yards. 1 bullet missed and was not recovered, but there were 3 rifle shells found by the book depository window. 1 bullet was the fatal shot to Kennedy's head, meaning the final bullet accounted for every other wound. This magic bullet hit Kennedy in the neck, exiting through his throat. Ooh.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Oh no. It then changed direction mid-air in order to hit Governor John Connolly in the chest, then came out the other side of Connolly and changing direction again to hit his wrist, going all the way through and finally settling in his thigh. This bullet was then found on a gurney in Parkland Memorial Hospital. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I just took a stutter in the middle of hospital.
Yeah.
In near perfect condition, despite having travelled through 15 inches of muscle tissue and creating 7 entry and exit wounds. This conclusion came from the official forensic report of bullet CE-399 as it came to be known.
Yeah. So this is why it's called the magic bullet.
That is a magic bullet.
That is
What?
the official forensic statement from the US Department of Science. That is what the US Forensic Department of the government said happened.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so
I didn't realise it was that much.
Yeah, so a bullet can travel through 15 inches of muscle tissue, create 7 entry and exit wounds, change direction in midair twice, and come out in perfect condition,
What?
according to forensic experts
No
that work for
way.
the US government.
No way.
That is how they explain there only being 3 bullets fired. It hurts your brain, doesn't it?
Yep.
It's sort of the fact that the trial came forward the trial was announced in 67 and came forward in 69. You think, how did it take 4 years for someone to look at that and go, hang on a minute? There's
Yeah.
something fishy about that. How did it take 4 years? But yeah, it's an interesting part is they got, as part of the court case, they got American soldiers to try and replicate that shot. And after the first use, the bullet was absolutely crumpled. And so that's after one entry wound. It still had to go through another, I think, 12 inches of muscle tissue and 6 more entry and exit wounds. And it came out in, like, unusable condition.
No.
Yeah. So, American Army sharpshooters tried recreating Oswald's shooting, but not a single one of them could hit a moving target from 80 yards with a bolt-action rifle like the one Oswald used. They also could not fire 3 rounds in the 5-second window that Oswald reportedly fired his rounds in. In order for the wounds to be inflicted when they were, both Connolly and Kennedy would have to be hit within 1/100th of a second of each other to correlate with the video footage of the assassination. So the bullets would have to have hit them faster than the bullet can actually travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets even better. Because you've got Dr. Cyril Retch, I think that's pronounced, we'll say Wetch. Dr. Cyril Retch also claimed that the Warren Commission's findings about the trajectory of the bullet were wrong, as if there weren't enough holes in the bullet theory already.
Oh, no.
Governor Connolly was struck in a right armpit by the magic bullet, but according to Retch, the horizontal angle from the 6th floor book depository room meant Connolly should have been struck on the left side of the spine. So he was shot in the wrong place. Basically, the bullet would not only have to stop twice in midair, but curl in midair as well.
No. Yeah, no, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so the angle from the window to the car was 13 degrees right to left, 21 degrees downward vertically, and 18 degrees relative to the car. With that all considered, he should have been hit on the left side of the spine rather than just under the armpit.
Jeez.
Yeah. For context, Retch is a forensic expert who had a career lasting almost 40 years and spent 9 years as the Allegheny County coroner, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's not the sort of person who has motivation to make any of this up to benefit his career. He's already one of the most veteran forensic scientists the US government's ever had. So you can kind of take his word and his calculations.
Yeah, he's not going to be wrong.
No, exactly.
So the next one we're covering is the lack of security. Analysing both physical reports from the day of the assassination and also video footage taken by bystanders on the day shows the distinct lack of security surrounding the president. First of all, he was in an open-roofed car, meaning he was a clear and easy target from multiple different vantage points. The route the president's car took was also brought under scrutiny by critics after the murder. His car took several sharp turns and manoeuvred down several unguarded open streets. There were no barriers between spectators and the president's car, with just 2 police motorcycles escorting the car. Windows of multi-storey buildings, such as the book depository, were not checked or guarded in preparation for the patrol. Despite all this, local authorities were still able to find, arrest and identify Oswald as the lone wolf killer of the president within an hour of the shooting taking place.
Yeah, so already you're kind of wondering, why were they so lackluster about defending the
Yeah.
president? I mean, he's the president. This wasn't at the time. It wasn't a time in history where there wasn't really anything going on either. You think you just
There was
in
lots.
1963, you've got the Cuban Revolution, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Cold War, the Vietnam War. There's a lot of people that would want to be out for the president. Surely you would make more efforts to defend
You
him.
would. You really would.
Mm.
And for
But-
that to happen, and then for someone to be found and arrested that quickly.
Yeah, after the lack of authority in the area, authority suddenly shows up
Yeah.
and finds the right person at the right place
That-
on their first time with looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another bit here that I wasn't able to fit in because I didn't get time to write. Well, the notes are over 2,500 words long today.
Oh.
So obviously I had to sort of scrimp out on a few bits. But the
Yeah.
person that actually found Oswald in the theatre had been rejected to join the Navy in the past, and after
Oh.
finding Oswald, he was then accepted in.
She's like, I will do this to get my spot.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
That sounds more and more like a setup, even though.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very
Obviously,
small
yeah.
detail, but yeah, you've got that bit. And like only 2 motorcycles escorting the car.
That's ridiculous.
You think when Donald Trump came to the UK, he had what, 6 blacked out SUVs with him
Yeah.
defending the car as well as motorcycles? 2. Can you imagine
2
Donald Trump coming to
2
the UK with 2
motorcycles.
motorcycles as his escort?
No.
It would be
no.
ridiculous, wouldn't it?
So much would happen.
Yeah, but yeah, it's great, and like the route we mentioned as well. Normally, when presidents do patrols, they wouldn't take a route of that nature. Like there was no guard between the spectators, I should say, not the fans, the spectators and the car. There were people standing right on the pavement as the car went past,
Yeah.
almost within arm's distance at points.
Jeez.
Yeah, and you think what self-respecting local authority would allow that to happen while the president was there on a state visit?
Yeah. That just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, so we're going to go. This is quite a big section we've got coming up now. This is who would want JFK dead. This is where the history's coming in
It
a
seems
bit.
a lot of people want him dead.
Yeah, there is a lot of people. Right, so well, he's president of the USA,
Yeah,
isn't he? He's
true.
obviously going to be in almost constant threat.
True.
No matter
Let's
how good of a
jump
job you
in.
do, you're still going to be in threat if you're the president of America.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's true.
Yeah. So, Jim Garrison, this is a name that is going to come up repeatedly throughout this. He's a bit of a, he's a very pivotal person in the JFK case. He's the person that took the case to court initially,
Ah.
and we're going to talk about that bit a little now. So, Jim Garrison's court case was directed mainly against an individual named Clay Shaw and his involvement in the assassination. Garrison called upon Perry Rousseau as a main witness against Shaw. He testified he had seen at a party in an anti-Castro activist house. So, like, Perry Rousseau, who was called forward as a witness, said to Garrison that he saw Clay Shaw at a anti-Castro activist party. The house belonged to a man called David Ferrie. This party also included Ferrie himself, a man named Guy Bannister, who we'll talk about later, and Lee Harvey Oswald, who, of course, was the man who was charged in inverted commas for murdering the president. According to Rousseau, the men discussed killing Kennedy using a triangulation of crossfire to take him out. So that's basically where, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory from the name, but it's where you've got shooters in 3 adjacent places all cross-firing into the same spot.
Yeah.
So they've got more chance of hitting him, basically. They also planned alibis to clear them of any involvement, according to Rousseau's statement. The jury deliberated for less than an hour and acquitted Shaw unanimously of all charges relating to the assassination of JFK. This is the interesting bit. Clay Shaw died in 1974 of lung cancer, and in 1979, the CIA actually confirmed that Shaw had been under contract and working for them in 1963. So why is that a bit interesting? Because Garrison accused Shaw of working with sectors of the CIA to carry out the assassination.
No.
So Jim Garrison's claim that there's a great, I don't think it's a quote from Jim Garrison himself, but in the
No.
film adaptation of JFK and the court case, Kevin Costner's got a line as Jim Garrison where he says that basically individuals from every level of government were involved in this, all the way up to the White House itself. There were people involved, was the claim Jim Garrison made. And we'll talk about that a bit more. This is why I always consider this to be the biggest conspiracy theory of all time. So, interestingly, David Ferrie, who was the host of the anti-Castro party, was an ex-American pilot, and after a witness account from a man named Jack Martin, Ferrie was allegedly revealed to be a planned getaway pilot for Oswald and the other assassins. So, yeah, it gets better. Jack Martin also said that David Ferrie may have taught Oswald how to use a rifle with a telescopic sight, and even said Ferrie had made active threats against Kennedy's life on multiple occasions.
This is just getting crazier and crazier.
It does. This is like the tip of the iceberg, trust me.
It
goes so much deeper. The plot gets thicker when it's revealed that Ferrie and Oswald are actually old friends who met on surface at the New Orleans Civil Air Patrol Group. This was proven by a photograph in Ferrie's house of the two men together at a Civil Air Patrol group. So there's photographic evidence that these two men knew each other. So that adds a lot of strength to Perry Russo's claim. Where were we? Yeah, there we go. When the story of Jim Garrison's case broke into the media in the form of the New Orleans State item, David Ferrie's name was included. Less than a week after this document was released, David Ferrie was found dead in his apartment on the 22nd of February 1967 by an apparent suicide.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Suicide.
Yeah. We'll go more into the alleged suicide now. When his apartment was searched, police found 2 typed, unsigned and undated suicide notes. So already you're thinking that seems a bit strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first said, "To leave this life is for me a sweet prospect." That was the exact quote that opened the letter. The second mentioned one of Ferrie's close friends who he left all his possessions to. So already you're starting to think that this already it's convenient that he committed suicide.
Yeah,
just before,
it's too convenient.
Yeah, just as his name was mentioned in a damning report that was going to uncover the biggest conspiracy in modern world history. And then suddenly one of the voices that can cop you out is silenced.
Yeah.
Quite conveniently by himself, according to reports.
Definitely by himself.
Yeah, of course. Where were we on the notes? Yeah, the fact the notes were typed instead of handwritten raised doubts about the legitimacy of Ferrie's suicide, as surely a note would be handwritten.
Yeah, if you're doing something like that.
Yeah, it's going to have like the personalisation, you would think, wouldn't it? Yeah, and also that adds the theory that he didn't actually write them. Because obviously if it was in his handwriting there'd be no denial, but anyone can type it. Whether I type something or you type something or someone that doesn't speak English types something, it's all going to look the same on the computer, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, apart from different words, of course, because someone just... Yeah. But, anyway. The autopsy also added complications to this story, as the Orleans Parish coroner concluded that Ferrie had died of a severe cerebral hemorrhage at the base of his brain. So he died of natural causes, basically. The same, And a quote on this: during the resulting court case of the JFK conspiracy, Garrison's famous quote said, "I suppose it could just be a weird coincidence that the night Ferrie penned 2 suicide notes, he died of natural causes."
No.
Yeah.
No.
You feel like there's a hint of sarcasm in that.
Yeah.
A very strong hint of sarcasm in that quote. But yeah, this bit with David Ferrie is sort of swept to the side a little bit with this Kennedy stuff, because everyone's more focused on why it wasn't Oswald. We should be looking at who it was more, I think.
Yeah, and like this is really intriguing.
Yeah, and this bit with David Ferrie, this is the last bit for David Ferrie. The last point in him comes the day after the leak of Garrison's story, when Ferrie contacted Garrison's aide, Lou Ivan. And he reportedly said to Ivan over the phone, this is his exact quote according to Ivan, "You know what this story does to me, don't you? I'm a dead man. From here on, believe me, I'm a dead man." And then he pens 2 suicide notes and dies of natural causes less than a week later on the same day.
Yeah, he knows something's going to be up.
Yeah, but it all adds up.
It does.
It's so crazy. But this, like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. Even at this point,
And we're
Like
half an hour
Jim Garrison
about half
himself
an hour in
has
and we're
written
already-
3 books on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. That is how much information there is
Whoa.
out there.
I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the
It's
been
definitely
the
one of the most
conspiracy that's had me more speechless throughout the show,
think
just
this
taking
is
it
the most
all in. It's
convincing one we've covered so far.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, coming into this, I was already a strong believer in this JFK one, but it's not until I've done more research in it and found gone beyond that little iceberg and gone beneath the surface, and I've
dug
sort
in,
of
it's just
rooted out all of this
exploded,
forensic
yeah.
stuff. Oh, it's ridiculous. Do you want to do the last bit for who would
Yeah.
want to kill Kennedy?
So previously mentioned Guy Bannister is also an interesting case. Bannister was a private investigator in New Orleans, and on the evening of Kennedy's assassination, he got into a heated argument with one of his colleagues and ended up assaulting him with a .357 Magnum pistol, whipping him several times. The name of the colleague he assaulted? Jack Martin.
The same Jack Martin that we mentioned earlier.
Yes, indeed.
So again, that is quite an interesting one. Yeah, the account from the same Jack Martin who put David Ferrie and Lee Harvey Oswald in the same place at the same time, surrounded by other people who were discussing murdering the president. How
Dun, dun,
very
dun.
convenient. So now we're going to have a little bit of history. So this kind of relates to who would want to kill Kennedy. This is the Bay of Pigs landing. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not.
No, this is quite a pivotal moment in the Cold War, especially 1960s history. This is one of the things that sort of inadvertently led to the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is perhaps the closest we've ever come to all-out nuclear warfare. We were, at one point, they were saying we were hours away from nuclear
That is
warfare between America and the
crazy.
Soviet Union. And yeah, that was actually de-escalated by Kennedy.
Oh.
And his thank you was getting shot in the head less than a year later. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's how it goes. But, yeah, in 1961, the CIA orchestrated an invasion of Cuba with the intention of removing Fidel Castro from power and squashing the communist government. Basically, Fidel Castro recently orchestrated a revolution against the Cuban government, a communist revolution, and had succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, the Cold War, communism, Soviet Union, the high tensions.
Yeah.
America didn't want a communist state that close to it. So, as a result of that, the CIA funded a rebel group on the island called Brigade 2506 in an attempt to help them reverse Castro's revolution. This group fronted the armed wing of the Democratic Revolutionary Front. Just rolls off the tongue, that name, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, in 1960, at that time, President Dwight Eisenhower allocated $13.1 million to the CIA for the anti-Castro operation. In 1961, now recently elected President John F. Kennedy was briefed on the operation and approved it, leaving the CIA in charge of operations. However, the execution of the invasion was a complete blunder that crushed the Cuban rebel militia and resulted in 2 American aircraft being shot down, as well as multiple deaths and wounds. The invasion was blundered due to the CIA's poor handling of espionage reports and pre-invasion intel. That you look at some of this and you think, how on earth does the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States get rubbish little things like this wrong? How do they manage this? Like, for example, the bay at which they landed was reported to be filled with seaweed, according to their scans and reports. But when their precious little fiberglass boats went into the bay, and it turned out to be coral reef, it shredded the endings of the boats, delaying the landing.
No.
Whoever was in charge of that.
Oh, no.
It's such a thing. Like, you try to overthrow a government and you get overthrown by coral reef.
It's just so stupid.
I know. It's like, how could you let something as simple as that get in the way? So the landing was delayed. It gets worse.
Oh no, I've
because
just
further-
read ahead.
Yeah, the stealthily planned night landing was thwarted when the CIA failed to notice that the beach had floodlights on it, meaning that they had to change the landing point pretty much on the spot. So you can get satellite pictures of the entire island and get all of their militia details, but you can't figure out that they've got floodlights on a beach,
Well done.
which you could probably see from a boat going past anyway.
Also, this next one as well.
Yeah. This is how the US actually lost its aircraft, by the way. Also, the US disguised some of their ammunition drop-off planes as Cuban planes, But when they returned to mainland America, the watchtowers couldn't tell the difference and committed friendly fire against at least 2 of their own planes.
You do something to be able to tell the
have like
difference.
a radio call command in place or something, wouldn't you? That they could radio
my
through like, "Hello,
gosh.
I'm American. Please don't shoot me out of the sky."
Or like a code to radio to them.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
under the assumption that an American military base is going to have a watchtower or a comms tower of some
Yeah.
description. Have a radio call for the comms tower so the planes can get in touch, like, "Hello, don't shoot me, I'm not Cuban." You know, something like that just gets the message across.
I mean, a Cuban person could say that.
They could. Just give them like a number to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give them a little code. But it's not hard. Those 3 things kind of illustrate how poorly the CIA handled this.
They handled it so badly.
It's got to be one of the most blundered operations in modern human history.
Yeah.
It was absolutely
stupid.
horrendously handled.
So, following this horrendous execution of the attack, Kennedy fired CIA leader Alan Dulles. Is that how you say it? Dulles, who was succeeded by John McCone in November 1961. In an official CIA report written in 2013, it was revealed that McCone withheld important documents and information from the Warren Commission during the investigation into Kennedy's assassination. On top of this, the panel created to investigate the murder was put together by Kennedy's replacement and former Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson. This damning report from 2013 confirmed that McCone had indeed intentionally suppressed articles, documents, and information that could have helped the Warren Commission. Could have helped the Warren Commission in their investigation.
Yeah,
you forgot words there for a second.
Yeah, sorry, that's the notes' fault. Again, this sort of shows that the CIA themselves had confirmed that the CIA committed a conspiracy.
Yeah.
They've admitted openly.
That's insane.
It gets worse. Do you want to carry on for this bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These documents included details surrounding Oswald's links to Cuba, as well as multiple assassination attempts against Fidel Castro. Some of these mention names from the mafia working with the CIA. This is much bigger than the face value suggests, because none other than Dallas nightclub owner Jack Ruby also had links with the mafia.
Yeah, the man who shot Lee Harvey Oswald conveniently before he could plead his innocence had links with the mafia, the same links of the mafia that the CIA had.
Dun dun dun. The Warren Commission was left completely unaware of these plots against Castro and any accomplices Oswald may have had in Cuba. It was also reported that McCone wanted to keep the Warren Commission focused on what the agency believed at the time was the best truth.
That is the actual quote from McCone. He said he wanted the agency to find the best. So basically he wanted them to find the truth that was most convenient, not the truth that was most accurate.
Shocking.
Yeah, crazy.
From this we can see that McCone led Warren Commission to a conclusion he wanted to find about Oswald being a lone wolf gunman, even though that probably wasn't true.
I mean, we say probably wasn't true. Looking at this evidence, it's almost definitely not true.
Yeah. McCone's motives for doing this are still unclear, but theorists believe that he may have been pressured into the cover-up by President Johnson, as he was aware of the plot to kill Kennedy.
Yeah, and also you've got to think on top of that, the panel that was put together to investigate the murder of Kennedy was put together by Lyndon B. Johnson himself.
Yeah.
Lyndon B. Johnson pressures the leader of the CIA into covering up reports in the Warren Commission. It seems that maybe Mr. Johnson knew more than he was letting on. The plot thickens once again here, as a report suppressed by McCone was a document detailing how the CIA was in direct contact with Lee Harvey Oswald before 1963. So the CIA just so happened to be in contact with the man who ended up assassinating the president on US soil.
'Cause that's not suspicious.
No, they had also monitored his mail following his defection to the Soviet Union in 1959, which is blatantly illegal on an international level. The government is stealing your mail, basically.
Yep.
Is what happened there.
It's insane.
Yeah. Another report showed how the CIA was aware of Oswald travelling to Mexico City a few weeks before the assassination, where he met spies from both the Cuban and Soviet governments.
It is indeed thickening.
Yeah, how did they not pick up? Well,
Yeah.
maybe they did pick up on this. That's the thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't know how much how much was just bad intel, and they were like blundering evidence, or how much it was cleverly calculated to hide up what they really knew.
That's sneaky.
Yeah. Going back to the declassified 2013 files again, the CIA has censored the public versions of the documents in 15 separate places. Sometimes it removes a name, others it takes out an entire sentence. So in spite of the CIA's effort to seem more transparent with the JFK murder, it's clear that there are still some sensitive secrets being kept from the public. It's been over 50 years.
Yeah, but they wouldn't want them to know everything.
No, but, I mean, all of the people on the Warren Commission, Lyndon B. Johnson, all of JFK's immediate family at that time are now dead. Apart from JFK's kids, of course.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all of the people that were directly involved in this case have now died. What are the CIA hiding? What are they afraid is going to happen?
Rebel against them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. But the one thing I forgot to mention in here is that there is a stat that says roughly 73% of the American population believe there was a plot against JFK to murder him.
Oh yeah, that
73% believe
I
it,
believe
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we haven't even finished the show yet, even we've already convinced you.
Yeah, because I already
Yeah.
believed it before the show.
Oh, okay, fair enough then.
This is just me learning all the background
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah, so we've already talked about what individuals would want to kill JFK. Now let's look at why the CIA would want to kill Kennedy.
Ooh. Speaking on the 14th of November 1963, JFK was asked about the situation in South Vietnam during a press conference. In his response, he said, direct quote, "We will attempt to assess the situation and see what American policy should be, how we can intensify the struggle, and how we can bring Americans out of there. That is our object, bring Americans home." Of course, this dream was crushed along with the ending of Kennedy's life just over a week later, and the Vietnam War raged on until 1975. The reason this relates to the CIA and to Lyndon B. Johnson is simple, although slightly cynical. America earned over $80 billion a year from war in the 1960s, and the CIA removed Kennedy from the equation so they could keep the bankroll ticking. Jim Garrison himself said he suspected the CIA's involvement in Kennedy's death so they could install pro-Vietnam War Lyndon B. Johnson into power and continue the fighting.
Yeah. So there you go. There's like the CIA's motivation for
Money.
involvement. Yeah, money, basically, which is really sad.
It is.
It's horrible to think that the president was killed over money by his own people.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And think how many people died during the Vietnam War as well. How
So
that could
many
have been
people
prevented
died.
if Kennedy stayed in. Do you know in the Vietnam War, America alone dropped 4 times the amount of bombs that had been dropped in the entire course of World War II.
Jeez.
They just leveled the country. And that doesn't go into Agent Orange, which was ethically wrong on every level. And the use of napalm and carpet bombing.
Yeah, that was awful,
Yeah.
awful stuff.
Yeah, really horrendous conflict that was so easily avoidable. And also, the start of the Vietnam War was really stupid as well. It was the start of the Vietnam War was a miscommunication.
Really?
Yeah, there was an American battleship in the Vietnam Gulf, and the captain of the ship said that they had come under fire from Vietnam warships, which caused America to get involved. And the captain later said at the conclusion of the Vietnam War that it was actually an electrical storm that he had mistaken for coming under fire.
No way.
So they started the war for no reason at all. And the war lasted for 20 years and killed thousands and thousands of people.
Jeez.
Yeah. It is the most avoidable war in history.
Yeah.
It should never have happened.
It really, really shouldn't have.
No. I mean, there's lots of films about this. There's lots of films about the Vietnam War. Some are more factual than others. But they're sort of, it was a really grueling conflict.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel a bit sick, I think, knowing how easily it could have all been
Yeah.
avoided. And then, of course, pro-Vietnam War Lyndon B. Johnson came into power to continue the fight in America. Lyndon B. Johnson then lost the next election to Richard Nixon, who was also pro-Vietnam.
So not much better there then.
No, Richard Nixon was a whole lot worse than Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah, we can talk about Nixon another time, because he's got a little conspiracy theory of his own called the Watergate scandal.
I think I might have heard about that.
Yeah, it's very famous. He was the first American president to be impeached because of it. Yeah, so it was big, serious stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't really call it a conspiracy now because it was solved. So.
But at the time, it was a conspiracy till proven correct.
Yeah. I'm sure I can do a bit of digging and find some more background information on it that would make it a more sort of detailed episode, I think. So.
But yeah, we have driven off path a little bit.
Yeah, we have. So we've got a few last words for the show here. We've still got quite a while left, but I mean, we've got a bit of discussion. I feel like we've got a lot we want to talk about at the end in result of everything we've said today. So giving ourselves a bit of discussion time at the end of the show.
Smart.
Yeah. So despite the loss in his case against Clay Shaw, Jim Garrison went on to have a successful political career following the case and stuck by his beliefs of Kennedy's assassination for the rest of his life. He wrote 3 books about the Kennedy assassination, like I mentioned earlier, appeared in a number of documentaries, and was even featured as the main character in Oliver Stone's Hollywood adaptation of the Kennedy court case in 1991, in which Jim Garrison was played by Kevin Costner. That's a really good film. If you've not seen it, you should watch it. It's very long and the content's a bit dense.
I don't mind.
It's very dialogue heavy.
I'm good with them kind of films. I love
Yeah.
anything factual.
The casting for that is amazing. There's so many huge actors in that film. Like Kevin Costner's in it, John Candy's in it. Who else is in it? Kevin Bacon's in it. Donald Sutherland. Tommy Lee Jones plays Clay Shaw. Gary Oldman plays Lee Harvey Oswald.
Okay, I definitely have to watch this.
It's a great film. You need to check it out. I mean, some of the bits in it factually aren't too on point, but like the actual film itself, it's like a good basis point for the conspiracy theory. But yeah, there you go. Jim Garrison was clearly a very influential person.
Yeah, he was right the way through.
Yeah, he had so many amazing quotes about the JFK assassination because JFK's younger brother, Charles Kennedy, was also shot in 1969 by an assassin. That was while he was running for president on behalf of the Democrats as well, and he got shot, and then evidently Richard Nixon became president.
Jeez.
Yeah. And interesting, Charles Kennedy, much like his brother, was anti-Vietnam.
Yeah.
So, again...
Understandable.
Yeah. But, Jim Garrison remained as the district attorney for Orleans Parish until 1973 when he was defeated in an election. In 1978, he was elected to a position on Louisiana's 4th Circuit Court of Appeal judgeship, which, by my understanding, is a very prestigious spot in regional court in America.
Yeah.
Highly prestigious. He held that position for 14 years. Sadly, Jim Garrison died of cancer in 1992, but he lived just long enough to see Oliver Stone's multi-Oscar winning film about him released, as well as the information confirming Clay Shaw's involvement with the CIA.
Imagine how, like, weird to say, but not happy, but kind of in a way happy that he was right about
maybe
that.
It was relief he would feel.
Not
because,
happy, relief.
A bit I've not put in here was like the amount of attempts to like tarnish his career following that was
I can
insane.
imagine.
It's absolutely ridiculous how much. Like one of them was called the pinball scandal, which is literally one of his political opposition in 1973 accused him of taking bribes from pinball machine makers.
What?
He said that he was receiving payments of $9,000 every 3 months, I think it was, from pinball machine companies so they could avoid paying tax, basically.
That's just stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Jim Garrison took this guy to court over it.
Good.
Yeah, and Jim Garrison won the case. And then his opponent afterwards said that he just invented all of the allegations to harm Jim Garrison's career, which
No,
sadly ended up
obviously.
working because later in 1973 Jim Garrison lost the election to maintain New Orleans parish position. But I mean, the fact he managed to hold it for 4 years after the case is something.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing to think what Jim Garrison achieved despite everything that was going against him at the time. But there were so many cases put against Jim Garrison. And one of his most famous quotes was a few years later on a documentary. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but he was asked, like, are you worried about your life? And he said no. He said, if I'm assassinated, you know I was right.
Yeah.
Which is a point, like, if someone tries to kill him after he's come forward with all this information, it's pretty obvious he struck a nerve, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So he was essentially the safest person in America for a long time. If Jim Garrison died of suspicious circumstances, the whole country would have gone, wait a second.
Yeah, they were going, something's a bit fishy here.
So yeah, Jim Garrison died of natural causes in 1992, just long enough to see Oliver Stone's film come out, which I think is quite a wholesome ending.
Yeah.
Because there's so many figures throughout history that didn't quite get to see the influence they had on the world. Like, Vincent van Gogh, for an example, who didn't really get to see what he did. Rosa Parks. Trying to think of someone. It will come to you. But yeah, there's
Theory of everything.
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
And the picture of the black hole.
Yeah, that's really sad, that one.
That really got me.
Yeah, there's loads of people that have achieved so much in their life, but they don't really get to appreciate what they achieved because they died afterwards. Like Emily Davison.
Yeah.
Yeah, as today is a general election day, it seems worth mentioning her. Sort of one of the pivotal figures in getting women the right to vote here in the UK. And I think it's nice that Jim Garrison avoided joining that list.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Yeah, he got to see what influence he had on the world and saw how much of an impression he had made and what his investigations achieved. Even though it tarnished his career, it almost cost him his marriage, his reputation. He struck all the way through and he stuck with it the whole way. And in the end, he came out on top.
And he was proven right.
Exactly. He was proven right.
And he got to see that.
Yeah, which I think is really great. It's really great to hear that.
A little bit of a heartwarming end to all the gruesomeness we've just been through.
Yeah, and now we're going to completely destroy that good mood again by going on to the very last point on our notes, which is, this is one of the most famous quotes in the conspiracy community ever. This is up there with the biggest quotes ever.
And I'm going to steal it from you.
Okay, yeah. You go ahead.
On the 15th of November 1963, JFK made a public speech where he had said the following: "There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot." JFK was murdered 7 days later.
Strange how we never got the opportunity to talk about that plot, wasn't it? But yeah, that's a lot of information to take in, isn't
is.
It's
I can feel the cogs in my brain spinning round.
Yeah, it's sort of one of those things. Like, do you remember last week when we were talking about what was it? Gary McKinnon.
Yes.
Yeah, and the ex-US soldier said that if you look up and see a UFO, it's either one of ours or one of theirs. Yeah. And that statement, we both
one of
went,
them moment. Yeah.
I feel like the entire show has been one of those moments.
It has. The entire show has just been like, oh, but what?
Yeah, it all links together so perfectly.
It does.
Like all the foundations, right the way back to 1959 with Oswald's departure to the Soviet Union. From there, he was having his mail monitored by America. When he came back, the CIA contacted him. They were aware that he was meeting Cuban and Soviet spies. They were aware that he had been at anti-Castro meetings, meeting people who were actively against Kennedy, not just opposing his rule, but against him in a way that they hated him so intensely they wanted to kill him.
Yeah, and
they
funnily
talked
enough,
about
the CIA,
plots.
Yeah, and funnily the CIA managed to work a way into them benefiting from it as well.
Yeah, and then of course the tensions of the Vietnam War at the time, Kennedy was trying to get a way out of that, despite the financial deficit it would cause America. And on top of all of that as well, you've got that theory about the multiple shooters is there. and the evidence of it being just Lee Harvey Oswald is so false.
Yeah, there's no way that'd be possible.
No, you've got a bullet to curve in midair, stop in midair twice, change direction twice, and travel for over a foot of muscle tissue, and it comes out in perfect condition.
No.
No, it
That's
just doesn't
not
happen.
how these things work.
No, and then it's crazy how an entire squadron of American Army sharpshooters can't hit the target once, let alone twice in 3 shots, like Lee Harvey Oswald did by himself.
Especially 3 shots in the 5-second window as well.
Yeah, for a man that's had no official military training in 4 years, that's quite impressive. But
Which makes it harder to believe.
Yeah, and then sort of the bit that I included about Edwin Walker is something that doesn't always come up with the JFK conspiracies.
It's nice to make sure to include.
Yeah, I
That
feel
would
like
be
it's
in
sort of
there.
like one of those hidden gem bits. Well, not a hidden gem, but one of the parts that doesn't really get the exposure it deserves in this theory.
Yeah. But there is so much to this series. Like, we've barely scratched the surface
Yeah,
on
there's
this.
so much more to this. Like I mentioned, Operation Northwoods is a big part of this that we didn't really get a chance to mention.
I would love to do a part 2 for this, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, I will look into it, seeing if we can do a part 2, but
Might do a poll on Facebook, see if you guys are interested in a part 2.
yeah, that would be good. Yeah, do a Facebook poll, see if you want
Put
to
it
do...
on Twitter as well.
Yeah, JFK Assassination Part 2.
Yay or nay?
Yeah,
Oh,
like I said,
come
there
up with
is...
funny puns.
there is so much that we could add to this. I don't know how I feel about puns over the assassination of a president.
Yeah, maybe
to be
not.
honest. Yeah,
Maybe
let's
not.
not do that. But yeah, genuinely, there's. I say I could write a book on this. Jim Garrison wrote 3 books on this.
I want to read them. I want to go home and read them now.
Yeah, I haven't read any of his books, but I hear they're all quite interesting. And yeah, like the interviews and documentaries that he's been a part of since, and the fact he stayed such a predominant figure of
Yeah.
the law and justice system for the rest of his life. He never lost his seat in the governor's judgeship. He held that until he died. He was still in
Aw.
that position when he died, and I feel like that's another really nice note. If
It
if
is.
anyone came out of this on the good side, it was Jim Garrison.
Yeah.
We can really look back on him and go like, yeah, good on you, Jim.
Good on you.
He was like
Oh, Jimmy, old pal.
the real genuine hero of the JFK conspiracy.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for Jim Garrison, there wouldn't be a JFK conspiracy.
No, there wouldn't.
I mean,
He's
there
the one
might be. I feel
well-
like he wouldn't be the only person in the last 50 years to look at the magic bullet and go, wait.
But he was that person that
Yeah.
got up,
Mm.
made sure that people, like, this is what happened, listen to me.
Yeah. And there's
And got proved right.
Yeah. I mean, one of the
Aw.
other bits we didn't include in this was the autopsy of President Kennedy himself,
Ooh.
because they actually lost his brain.
Oh, no.
They lost the president's
How
brain.
can... we nearly went from a really nice ending to they lost his brain.
No, like genuinely, that is the official report
How
from America.
could you lose someone's brain? Never mind the
president's,
president's
yeah.
brain.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's,
What?
Mm. Yeah, and the autopsy was overseen by CIA officials as well. And
No wonder.
autopsy people said that they could feel a bullet in JFK's back, but obviously that would be a 4th bullet,
Yeah.
and you can talk about that. And then there's also footage of, you've got the footage, there's actual video footage taken of the president being shot.
Mm.
Obviously the person filming it wasn't aware of what was going to happen, but in Oswald's position, he was above and behind Kennedy, but Kennedy's head when he's shot moves backwards and up.
Yeah.
That's not how physics works. His head would have gone forward and down to go with the trajectory of the bullet.
The force of the bullet hitting, yeah, and push it down.
Yeah, so it's clear that he wasn't shot from behind. There's also another footage of gun smoke appearing from a car park fence across the road,
Ooh.
just at the point Kennedy was shot. So there's so
yeah,
much.
this is definitely links to there being more than one
Yeah.
person. There's no way it could have been
No.
done on his own.
And there's also theories that one of the guards protecting Lee Harvey Oswald also shot him, as well as Jack Ruby. So like there's live footage of Oswald. Like it was broadcast live on television. Oswald's murder. It's one of the most shocking live
Jeez.
television moments ever. Obviously, they didn't know he was going to get shot. Of
Yeah,
course.
fair
But
enough.
like they walked him out for the press to talk to him, and then Jack Ruby just appears through the crowd and shoots him in the gut. And then
That's
Oswald
insane.
falls back onto one of the guards. The theory is the guard then shot him again as he was falling.
Overkill much?
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the theories. Like I said, there is so
There really
much
is.
to this.
It's like we ran out of notes about 10 minutes ago now and we're still talking about it.
Yeah,
There's just so much to get into.
it's you say tip of the iceberg. This isn't an iceberg. This is Antarctica we're dealing with here.
And
But,
we're just scooping some snow off the top, just like
Yeah.
the fresh fall of
We've
snow.
got like a snowball worth of stuff out of this show
Yeah.
compared to the amount of evidence there is.
But
It's-
sadly, we don't have time to tell you the rest of it.
no, we will definitely consider a part 2 in the new year.
Yes.
I feel like that would be a good way to go. We'll say whether you want an Operation Northwood show or JFK Part 2, I think, will be the choice we give people.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think that's a good
yeah.
choice. And we
Yeah.
will find out what you guys think.
Yeah, but that
Soon
will be
enough.
in the new year.
It will
Because
indeed.
this is our last show of 2019.
No, but also yes.
It's nearly Christmas now.
Christmas,
So-
Christmas, Christmas.
Alright, so we're
But
nearly getting
yeah.
there. Like I said, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact date which our next show will be.
That will have to be discussed at some point soon
Yeah, I
because
mean,
we have not
I come
discussed
back.
that.
I come back from Christmas on the 8th of January, I think, either the 6th or the 8th. So it'll be after then.
I come back before New Year's.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah. So we'll figure something out for you guys. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, this episode will probably be up on YouTube by tomorrow, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I mean, I've finished all my uni deadlines now until the new year, so I've got a bit of free
Lucky.
time. Yeah, I know, I'm pretty lucky in that sense. So I've got a bit of free time,
Yeah.
and I will probably slap this on the YouTube channel
Nice one.
and get it up there. So we'll have episode 5 on there. 5 episodes already.
I know. It's
Gone, isn't it?
crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like a nice number to round off on. Ready
Yeah,
for
I
the new
think it
year.
is.
5.
I feel like getting to finish on a full feature episode was good
Yeah,
as well.
I
That worked
enjoyed
out
that.
quite nice.
But yeah, it's the end of the show, so
It is indeed.
we shall say goodbye.
Yeah, I've been Aaron Chandler,
I've been Abigail Murphy.
and this has been the Conspiracy Crunch. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and give us a subscribe on YouTube as well.
Yes,
Right.
as always, bye.
Yeah, bye bye for now.